We pulled into the parking lot at Riverside Gardens at 2 p.m. Right on time. The venue looked perfect. White flowers everywhere, string lights draped between trees, chairs arranged in perfect rows, a white arch at the altar decorated with roses and baby's breath. Exactly what Sarah had wanted. Exactly what we'd paid $47,000 for. My husband Robert squeezed my hand. Our little girl's getting married. I smiled, tried to, but there was a knot in my stomach, a feeling that something was wrong, had been wrong for months. We got out of the car, smoothed our clothes, Robert in his suit, me in my mother of the bride dress, navy blue, simple, elegant. Sarah had approved it 3 months ago, back when she was still talking to us regularly. We walked toward the entrance, past arriving guests, people we didn't recognize, Jason's family and friends probably. We knew almost no one here. Sarah had kept the guest list close to the chest. Then we saw her. Sarah, standing at the entrance, in her wedding dress. She looked beautiful. The dress we'd helped her pick out. Ivory lace, fitted bodice, long train. Her hair was up, makeup perfect. She looked like a princess. My daughter, my baby girl, getting married. I smiled, started to say something. Then I saw her face. She wasn't smiling. If you enjoyed this opening, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It helps others find these stories. "What are you doing here?" Sarah asked. Her voice was cold, flat, like she was talking to strangers. "What do you mean?" I asked. "We're here for your wedding, sweetheart." "No," she said. "You're not invited. I told you that." The world tilted, just slightly, like the ground had shifted under my feet. "Sarah, what are you talking about?" Robert asked. "We've been planning this for months. We paid for—" "I don't care what you paid for," Sarah interrupted. "You're not invited. You need to leave. Now." I stood there, stunned, unable to process what was happening. "But we're your parents," I said quietly. "And you're embarrassing me," Sarah hissed. "Jason's family is here, important people. You showing up like this, it's inappropriate. I told you not to come." "You never told us not to come," Robert said. His voice was shaking. "Sarah, we've been planning this. We drove 4 hours. We paid for this entire wedding, the venue, the food, the flowers, everything." "That was your choice. I never asked you to do that." The lie was so blatant, so absurd, I almost laughed. Almost. Except there was nothing funny about this. Nothing funny about our daughter standing in her wedding dress, telling us we weren't welcome at the wedding we'd paid for. "Sarah, please," I started. "Can we just talk?" "No, leave now, before I have security remove you." She turned and walked away, back into the venue. Left us standing there, at the entrance, while guests walked past, staring, whispering. Robert looked at me. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. "Let's go," he said quietly. We walked back to our car, in silence, both of us in shock, both of us trying to understand what had just happened. I got in the passenger seat. Robert got in the driver's side, started the engine, then just sat there, staring at the steering wheel. "What the hell just happened?" he finally said. First time I'd heard him curse in years. "I don't know. We paid $47,000 for this wedding. We've been planning it for 8 months. We drove 4 hours to get here, and she just—" He couldn't finish. Didn't need to. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then Robert pulled out his phone. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Making a call." He dialed. Put the phone on speaker. "Riverside Gardens. This is Michelle speaking." "Hi, Michelle. This is Robert Morrison. I'm calling about the wedding happening today, the Morrison-Blake wedding." "Oh, yes, Mr. Morrison. Is everything okay?" "No, everything is not okay. I need you to cancel the event, immediately." Silence on the other end, then, I'm sorry, sir, did you say? Cancel? The wedding is happening right now. Guests are arriving. I understand that, but I'm the one paying for this event, and I'm canceling it, effective immediately. Stop all services, no food service, no bar service, nothing. Mr. Morrison, I don't think you understand. The contract the contract says I can cancel with 48 hours notice and lose my deposit, or I can cancel day of and lose everything. I'm choosing to lose everything. Cancel it now. Sir, there are over 100 people here. The ceremony is supposed to start in 30 minutes. Then you have 30 minutes to inform everyone that the event is canceled. Because I'm calling my bank right now to stop payment on every check I've written. So unless you want to provide all these services for free, I suggest you start making announcements. He hung up, immediately dialed another number. Thompson Catering. How can I help you? This is Robert Morrison. I need to cancel the catering for the Morrison Blake wedding. Today, right now. I'm sorry, sir, but we're already on site. The food is being prepped. I don't care. Pack it up. Take it back. The event is canceled. Sir, our contract states. Your contract also states I'm the one paying, and I'm not paying. Cancel everything. Leave. Now. He hung up again, called the bank. First National Bank, this is David. David, this is Robert Morrison. Account ending in 7329. I need to stop payment on several checks immediately. Of course, Mr. Morrison. What are the check numbers? Robert rattled off numbers. 5 checks, venue, catering, flowers, DJ, photographer. All done, sir. Those payments are stopped. Thank you. He hung up, set the phone down, looked at me. We sat in silence, processing what we'd just done. Then Robert started the car, pulled out of the parking lot, drove away from Riverside Gardens, away from our daughter's wedding, the wedding we'd just canceled. I didn't cry, not yet. I was still in shock, still trying to understand how we'd gotten here, how our sweet, loving daughter had become someone who could do this, who could look us in the eye and tell us we weren't welcome, after everything we'd done, everything we'd sacrificed. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. Let me back up. Let me tell you how we got here. How Sarah went from our baby girl to someone we barely recognized. Let me tell you about Jason. Sarah met Jason 2 years ago. At a work conference, she was 26. He was 29. She came home gushing about him. Mom, he's amazing. He's so smart, so successful, works in finance, makes great money, and he's so handsome. I was happy for her. She'd dated before, but never anyone serious. Never anyone she talked about with that kind of excitement. They started dating. At first, everything seemed fine. Jason was polite when we met him. Charming, good-looking, well-dressed, everything you'd want for your daughter. But there were signs. Small things. Things I noticed but told myself I was overreacting about. The way he'd interrupt Sarah when she was talking. The way he'd make little comments about her appearance. Are you really wearing that? Maybe you should go to the gym more. Nothing overtly cruel, but constant, undermining. The way he'd talk about his family, his successful parents, his Ivy League education, his expensive car. Always positioning himself as better than, superior to. The way he'd subtly put down our family, our middle-class life, our normal jobs. Oh, your dad owns a hardware store? That's quaint. Robert noticed too. I don't like him, he said after the 3rd time meeting Jason. There's something off. He's just confident, Sarah defended. You're not used to successful people. That stung. Because it wasn't true. We'd worked hard our whole lives, built a good life, put Sarah through college. We weren't failures. We just weren't rich. But Jason had convinced Sarah that wealth equaled worth, that success meant money, that our middle-class life was somehow less than. 6 months into their relationship, Sarah started changing, started pulling away from us, canceled Sunday dinners, stopped calling as much. When we did see her, she seemed different, quieter, more defensive. Is everything okay? I asked one day. Everything's fine, Mom. You worry too much. I just feel like we don't see you as much anymore. I'm busy. I have a life, a boyfriend. I can't be running home every weekend. She'd never talked to us like that before, with that edge, that resentment. A year into their relationship, Jason proposed. Sarah was ecstatic, called us crying happy tears. Mom, I'm getting married. We were happy for her, excited, started planning immediately. But the wedding planning became a nightmare. Jason had opinions about everything. The venue had to be upscale. The food had to be gourmet. The flowers had to be specific varieties. Everything had to be perfect, expensive, impressive. Sarah, this is getting really expensive, Robert said gently. Maybe we could scale back a little? Dad, it's my wedding. Don't you want it to be nice? Of course. But we're looking at almost $50,000. Jason's family is spending that much on the rehearsal dinner alone. I don't want to be embarrassed. That word again. Embarrassed. Like we were something to be ashamed of. But we kept paying. Because we loved our daughter. Because we wanted her to be happy. Because we thought this was just wedding stress, that things would get better after. 3 months before the wedding, things got worse. Sarah stopped responding to texts as quickly. Calls went to voicemail. When we did talk, conversations were short, strained. I'm just busy with wedding planning, she'd say. But it felt like more than that. It felt like she was pulling away, distancing herself. 2 months before the wedding, we tried to talk to her about Jason, about our concerns. Sweetheart, are you sure about this? I asked gently. Marriage is a big step, and we've noticed Jason can be a little controlling. He's not controlling, Mom. He's just particular. He knows what he wants. But what do you want? Robert asked. I want to marry Jason. Why can't you just be happy for me? We are happy. We just want to make sure you're making the right choice. There it is, Sarah said bitterly. You don't think Jason's good enough. You never have. That's not what we're saying. Yes, it is. You've never liked him, never approved. Well, guess what? I don't need your approval. I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions. She left. We didn't hear from her for a week. When she finally called back, her voice was cold. I've been talking to Jason about you, about our relationship, and he's helped me see something. What's that? I asked carefully. You're controlling. You always have been. You've never let me make my own choices. Never let me be my own person. Jason says healthy adults set boundaries with toxic family members. The word toxic hit like a slap. Sarah, we're not toxic. We're your parents. We love you. Love shouldn't be conditional. Love shouldn't come with strings attached. Jason says if you really loved me, you'd support my choices without judgment. We do support you. No, you don't. You just want to control me, keep me dependent. Jason's helping me see that, helping me break free. Those phrases. Break free. Set boundaries. Toxic family? They weren't Sarah's words. They were Jason's. We could hear his voice in every sentence, his manipulation dressed up as self-help psychology. Sarah, please, can we just talk? In person? Without Jason? Why? So you can manipulate me? Jason warned me you'd try this, try to isolate me from him. Classic toxic parent behavior. And she hung up. We tried calling back, texting, nothing. Radio silence. 1 month before the wedding, Sarah finally contacted us via email. The wedding is still on, you're still invited, but there are going to be boundaries. I need you to respect them. The boundaries. Don't talk to Jason's family about our concerns. Don't make the wedding about us. Don't try to control the day. Just show up, smile, and support our decision. We agreed. What else could we do? 2 weeks before the wedding, we had our final payment meeting with the venue. Signed the last checks. $47,000 total. Everything paid in full. Thank you so much, Mr. and Mrs. Morrison, the venue coordinator said. Sarah must be so grateful to have such generous parents. We smiled, nodded, didn't say that we hadn't heard from Sarah in 2 weeks, that we didn't know if we were actually invited anymore, that we were terrified our daughter was marrying someone who was isolating her from everyone who loved her. 1 week before the wedding, Sarah called. Briefly. Just confirming you'll be there. 2 p.m., don't be late. Of course we'll be there. We're looking forward to it. Good, see you then? That was it. No, I love you. No, I'm excited for you to be there. Just confirmation. Like we were vendors being scheduled. The day before the wedding, Robert and I couldn't sleep. What if she really doesn't want us there, I asked. What if Jason's convinced her we're the enemy? Then we show up anyway, because we're her parents. And no matter what Jason's told her, we love her and we'll be there for her. We held each other that night, both of us scared, both of us hoping we were wrong, hoping that when we showed up, Sarah would smile, hug us, tell us she was glad we came. But that's not what happened. What happened was, you're not invited, leave. And now we were driving home, 4 hours back, in silence, with 32 missed calls starting to pile up on Robert's phone. We didn't answer them, not then, because we were done. Done being manipulated. Done being treated like we were toxic for loving our daughter. Done paying for a wedding we weren't welcome at. If Sarah wanted to choose Jason over us, fine, but she could do it without our money, without our support, without us. We got home at 6 p.m., exhausted, emotionally drained. Robert's phone had stopped ringing. 32 missed calls, all from Sarah. A few from numbers we didn't recognize. Probably Jason, probably the venue. We ignored them all, went inside, made tea, sat at the kitchen table, said nothing. What was there to say? Our daughter had chosen, and we'd responded. And now we'd wait and see what happened next. The call started again around 7 p.m. Sarah, Jason, numbers we didn't recognize. Our phone rang constantly. We turned off the ringer, let it go to voicemail. At 8 p.m., someone knocked on our door. Hard, loud, aggressive. Robert looked through the peephole. It's Sarah. We didn't open the door. She knocked again, harder. I know you're in there. Open the door. We stayed quiet. This is insane. You canceled my wedding. Do you know what you've done? There were 100 people there. The venue kicked everyone out. The caterers took the food. Everything fell apart. And you just left? Robert opened the door. Just a crack. Yes, we left. After you told us we weren't invited. After you humiliated us. After you chose Jason over your own parents. I never said you weren't invited. Yes, you did. At 2 p.m. at the entrance to the venue, you looked us in the eye and said, you're not invited. Leave. Sarah's face changed. Confusion, then realization, then panic. That was, Jason said he said it would be empowering to set boundaries by uninviting your parents from your wedding after we paid $47,000. That's your idea of boundaries? I didn't mean, I thought you'd just, I don't know, I didn't think you'd actually cancel everything. What did you think would happen, Sarah? You tell us we're not welcome and we just smile and hand over $50,000? For what? So you and Jason can celebrate cutting us out of your life? It wasn't supposed to be like this, Jason said. I don't care what Jason said. Robert's voice rose. First time I'd heard him yell in years. I care what you said, what you did. You chose him over us. Fine. But you don't get to do that and take our money and expect us to just accept being treated like garbage. Sarah was crying now. Please, Dad, Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Can we fix this? Can you call the venue? Tell them it was a mistake? No. Please, the wedding is supposed to be tomorrow. We've rescheduled for tomorrow. If you just call them back. No, Sarah, we're done. You made your choice. You chose Jason. You chose to believe his lies about us being toxic and controlling. You chose to uninvite us from your own wedding. Now you live with those choices. But I don't have the money. We can't afford the venue without you. Jason's family was only paying for the rehearsal dinner. Then I guess you're not getting married. Dad, please. Robert closed the door, locked it, walked away. Sarah pounded on the door for 10 more minutes, screaming, crying, begging. We didn't answer. Eventually, she left. Robert and I sat in our living room in silence, both of us shaking, both of us devastated. Did we do the right thing? I asked finally. Robert was quiet for a long time. Then, I don't know, but it's done, and I'm not apologizing for refusing to fund our own humiliation. We went to bed, didn't sleep, just lay there, processing everything. The next morning, what should have been Sarah's wedding day, we woke up to more calls, more texts from Sarah, from Jason, from people we didn't know. Jason's texts were particularly illuminating. This is your fault. Sarah's devastated. You ruined her wedding because you can't handle her setting healthy boundaries. You're the toxic ones, not us. We are going to sue you for breach of contract. You can't just cancel everything last minute. We have receipts, proof you agreed to pay. Sarah's better off without you anyway. Parents who would do this don't deserve a daughter like her. Robert showed me the texts. He's showing his true colors now. Do you think she sees it? I don't know, but we did what we could. The rest is up to her. 3 days passed. No wedding happened. Couldn't happen without a venue. Without catering, without any of the things we'd paid for. We heard through a family friend that Jason's parents refused to step in financially. Not our responsibility, they'd apparently said. If Robert and Linda won't pay, that's their problem. So much for the wealthy, supportive in-laws Sarah had been so excited about. On day 4, Sarah showed up again. This time she looked different, tired, defeated, broken. Can we talk? She asked quietly. Please? We let her in, made tea, sat at the kitchen table. The wedding didn't happen, she said, stating the obvious. We heard. Jason's mad, says it's all my fault. Says I should have managed my parents better. Says if I'd just not told you to leave, everything would have been fine. So he's blaming you? Robert asked. Yeah, he's been blaming me for everything. Says I ruined it. Says his family is embarrassed. Says he's not sure he wants to marry me anymore. She started crying. Real tears. Not the angry, manipulative tears from the other night. Real, broken-hearted crying. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. You were right about everything, about Jason, about how he was changing me, about how he was isolating me. I didn't see it, or I did see it, but I didn't want to believe it. Because I loved him. Because I thought he loved me. I wanted to hug her. Wanted to tell her it was okay, but I didn't. Not yet, because she needed to understand, needed to feel the weight of what she'd done. Sarah, do you remember what you said to us? I asked gently. At the wedding venue? I told you to leave. You told us we weren't invited. To the wedding we'd paid $47,000 for. You said we were embarrassing you, that we needed to leave before you had security remove us. She flinched. I know, I remember. Do you understand how that felt? To hear our daughter say that? After everything we've done? Everything we've sacrificed? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wasn't thinking. Jason had been saying all this stuff about boundaries and toxic parents, and I believed him. I thought I was being strong, independent, but I was just being cruel. Yes, Robert said quietly. You were. Can you forgive me? Sarah asked, looking between us, desperate, pleading. We were quiet, both of us thinking, feeling. Sarah, forgiveness isn't something you just give on demand, I said finally. It's something that's earned through changed behavior, through time, through proving you understand what you did and why it was wrong. I do understand. I see it now. Jason's been terrible to me since the wedding fell apart, blaming me, calling me names, saying I'm useless. I see what you saw. I see what you were trying to warn me about. And that's good, Robert said. That's a start. But you hurt us, Sarah, deeply. And you did it because someone manipulated you into believing we were toxic, into believing our love was control. That's going to take time to heal. So, what do I do, she asked, voice small, broken. You end things with Jason, I said. Completely. No more contact. No more trying to make it work. He's shown you who he is. Believe him. Okay. And you get therapy, Robert added. Real therapy. To understand how you got here. How someone was able to convince you to treat your parents like enemies. To make sure it doesn't happen again. Okay. And you give us time, I said. To heal, to trust you again, to rebuild what was broken. That's not going to happen overnight. Sarah nodded, crying. I understand. I'll do whatever it takes. I love you both. I'm so sorry I forgot that. I'm so sorry I let Jason make me forget that. We talked for 2 more hours about Jason, about the red flags, about how the manipulation had happened gradually, how he'd isolated her bit by bit until she believed his version of reality over her own instincts. It was heartbreaking, watching our daughter realize she'd been in an abusive relationship, that the man she'd planned to marry had been systematically destroying her relationships with everyone who cared about her. But it was also hopeful because she was seeing it, understanding it, wanting to change. Sarah left that evening with a promise to call a therapist, to end things with Jason, to start the long process of healing. And we promised to be there, to support her, to help her rebuild. But we also made it clear things would be different now. Boundaries would exist. We would not fund her life unconditionally, would not accept being treated as less than, would not tolerate disrespect in the name of boundaries. She agreed, understood, accepted. The next day, Sarah called. I broke up with Jason. How did he take it? Badly. He called me all kinds of names, said I was making the worst mistake of my life. Said I'd regret choosing my toxic parents over him. Said I was weak and pathetic and would never find anyone as good as him. I'm sorry, I said, and I meant it, even though we'd seen this coming, even though we'd tried to warn her. It still hurt to hear that someone had treated our daughter that way. Don't be sorry. You were right. He's terrible. I can't believe I didn't see it before. Over the next few weeks, Sarah started therapy, started processing, started understanding the patterns of manipulation she'd fallen into. She also started rebuilding her relationship with us, slowly, carefully, with new boundaries on both sides. We had coffee once a week, talked about surface things at first, work, weather, neutral topics. Gradually, we went deeper, talked about feelings, fears, hopes. 3 months after the canceled wedding, Sarah came over for dinner. First time since everything happened. I want to pay you back, she said. For the wedding, $47,000. I'm setting up a payment plan. It'll take years, but I'll pay you back every cent. Sarah, that's not necessary, Robert said. Yes, it is. You paid for a wedding that didn't happen because I chose someone who was abusing me over the parents who've always loved me. That's on me. I need to make it right. We didn't argue, accepted her plan. Not because we needed the money, but because she needed to do this, needed to feel like she was making amends in a tangible way. 6 months after the canceled wedding, Sarah was doing better. In therapy, single, focused on herself, rebuilding friendships she'd let fall apart during her relationship with Jason. I'm scared, she admitted one day. Scared I'll fall into the same pattern again. Scared I'll meet someone who seems great and not see the red flags, until it's too late. That's why you're doing the work now, I said, learning to trust your instincts, learning what healthy relationships look like, learning to value yourself enough to not accept manipulation. What if I'm not strong enough? What if I mess up again? Then you learn from it, and you do better next time. That's all any of us can do. 1 year after the canceled wedding, Sarah met someone new. His name was David, a teacher, kind, genuine, normal. She was cautious, took things slow, introduced us early, watched for red flags. "What do you think?" she asked nervously after we met David for the first time. "I like him," Robert said honestly. "He seems kind, respectful, and he didn't try to monopolize the conversation or put anyone down. That's a good sign." "He's nothing like Jason," Sarah said. "Good," I replied. "Jason was terrible for you. David seems like someone who builds you up instead of tearing you down." Sarah and David dated for 2 years. Healthy, happy, open. When they got engaged, Sarah called us crying. Happy tears this time. "I want to do it right this time," she said. "Small wedding, just family and close friends. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive. Just real." "That sounds perfect," I said. "And I want to pay for it myself. David and I have been saving. We don't need anyone's help. We just need your presence, your blessing." "You have both," Robert said. "Always." The wedding was beautiful. 40 people, backyard ceremony, potluck reception. Nothing like the elaborate disaster that almost was, but it was perfect because it was real, authentic, filled with people who actually cared about Sarah and David. Not people trying to impress anyone, just family and friends celebrating love. During the ceremony, Sarah's vows included this: "I promise to never let anyone come between us and the people who love us, to never confuse control with love or isolation with independence, to always choose truth over comfort, and to build a life with you based on genuine connection, not appearance or status." I cried. Happy tears. Proud tears. After the ceremony, Sarah pulled Robert and me aside. "Thank you," she said, "for not giving up on me, for loving me even when I was terrible to you, for seeing what I couldn't see, for saving me from making the worst mistake of my life." "We are your parents," Robert said simply. "That's what we do." Not all parents would have done what you did. Canceling the wedding, refusing to fund my own humiliation. That took courage, and it woke me up. I needed that wake-up call, even if it was painful. "We didn't do it to hurt you," I said. "We did it because we loved you too much to watch you destroy your life." "I know, and I'm grateful, even though it took me a while to realize it." We hugged, the three of us, a real hug, not performative, not obligatory, just genuine love and forgiveness and healing. Now it's been 3 years since that day at Riverside Gardens. 3 years since Sarah told us we weren't invited to her wedding. 3 years since we made 3 phone calls and changed everything. Sarah and David are happy, married, expecting their first child, our first grandchild. She's still in therapy, still working on herself, still learning and growing. She's also paid back $30,000 of the $47,000 we spent on the canceled wedding. Insists on finishing the payment plan even though we've told her it's not necessary. "It's necessary for me," she says. "It's part of making amends, part of showing you I understand what I did and why it was wrong." Robert and I are doing well too. Our relationship with Sarah is better than it's ever been, based on honesty, respect, real boundaries instead of manipulative ones. But let me tell you more, because the story doesn't end with us driving away from that venue. The aftermath was messy, complicated, full of pain and growth and hard-won healing. Let me tell you what really happened in those hours, days, months after we canceled the wedding. The venue manager, Michelle, called us that evening around 8 p.m. Her voice was shaken. Mr. Morrison, I need to understand what happened today. We had over 100 guests. The ceremony was supposed to start. Then your payment was canceled and we had to ask everyone to leave. It was chaos. I understand that, Robert said calmly, and I'm sorry you had to deal with it. But my daughter told us at the entrance that we weren't invited, after we'd paid $47,000. I responded accordingly. But, sir, weddings are planned for months. People traveled. There were deposits, contracts, and I broke those contracts. I understand there are financial penalties. I accept them, but I will not pay for an event I was told I wasn't welcome at. Michelle was quiet. Then, what your daughter did was wrong. If she uninvited you after you paid, that's unconscionable. I'm sorry that happened to you. Thank you. For what it's worth, the venue is keeping your deposit. $20,000. That's the penalty for same-day cancellation, but I won't pursue you for the remaining balance. What happened today? No parent should have to pay for that. Robert was surprised. Thank you, Michelle. That's very generous. It's fair. I hope your daughter realizes what she did, and I hope you find peace. The caterer called the next day. Similar conversation. Similar outcome. They kept their $5,000 deposit. Didn't pursue the rest. The florist, the DJ, the photographer, all kept their deposits, all understood when Robert explained what happened. Your daughter told you that you weren't invited? The photographer said, shocked. After you paid. I have kids, I can't imagine. I'm so sorry. Turned out the total cost of the wedding would have been $47,000. But with deposits forfeited and most vendors not pursuing full payment, we ended up losing about $32,000. Still a huge amount, but not as devastating as it could have been. And honestly, worth it. Worth every penny if it meant Sarah saw the truth about Jason. But in those first few days, we didn't know if she'd see the truth. Didn't know if she'd blame us forever. Didn't know if we'd just destroyed our relationship with our daughter permanently. The calls kept coming from Sarah, from Jason, from Jason's parents, from people we'd never met. Jason's mother, Patricia, called on day 2. Her voice was cold, entitled, Mr. Morrison, I understand you canceled my son's wedding. That's unacceptable. Jason and Sarah had made commitments. Guests traveled. Money was spent. Money I spent, Robert interrupted. $47,000 I paid because I love my daughter. Then she told me I wasn't invited. So I stopped paying. Simple as that. That's petty, vindictive. Sarah made a mistake. Young people get stressed. They say things they don't mean. You should have been the bigger person. The bigger person? Mrs. Blake, with all due respect, I was uninvited from my own daughter's wedding after paying for it. That's not stress. That's cruelty. And I will not reward cruelty with money. This is why Sarah wanted distance from you. You're clearly controlling, manipulative, using money to control her choices. I'm using my money to not be humiliated. There's a difference. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm done with this conversation. He hung up. Patricia Blake didn't call back. Jason's father called on day 3, more aggressive, threatening. You've damaged my son's reputation, embarrassed our family. We will sue for breach of contract, for emotional damages, for everything. Go ahead, Robert said calmly. Sue me. Explain to a judge why you think I should pay $47,000 for an event I was explicitly told I wasn't invited to. I'd love to hear that argument. You're a spiteful old man. Sarah's better off without you. Then she should have no problem paying for her own wedding. Jason's father hung up, never followed through on the lawsuit threat. Sarah kept calling, texting. The messages evolved over the first week. Day 1. How could you do this? You ruined everything. Day 2. Please call me back. We need to talk. I'm sorry for what I said, but this is extreme. Day 3. Jason's furious. His family is humiliated. Everyone's blaming me. Please just fix this. Day 4. I'm begging you, please. I'll apologize. I'll do anything. Just call the venue back. Day 5. Jason says this proves you're toxic, that you'd rather destroy my happiness than let me set boundaries. He says I'm better off without you. We didn't respond to any of them. Each message was more painful than the last, but we stayed strong because responding would just invite more manipulation, more guilt trips, more of Jason's poison through Sarah's voice. On day 6, the tone changed. Jason's being really mean. He's blaming me for everything. Says if I'd just handled my parents better, none of this would have happened. Says I'm weak. Says I'm the problem. I don't know what to do. Robert looked at me. She's starting to see it. Should we call her? Not yet. She needs to see more, understand more. If we swoop in now, Jason will convince her we're manipulating her again. It was hard. So hard. Waiting. Watching our daughter suffer. But Robert was right. She needed to see Jason's true colors herself. Needed to experience firsthand what we'd been trying to warn her about. Day 7. Jason broke up with me. Says he can't marry someone who can't stand up to their toxic parents. Says I'm not mature enough for marriage. Says he's wasted 2 years on me. I don't understand. I thought he loved me. That's when we called. Sarah answered on the first ring. Dad? We're here, sweetheart. Tell us what happened. She broke down, told us everything. How Jason had been cruel since the wedding fell apart, blaming her, calling her names, saying she'd ruined his life, his reputation, his plans, how he'd said she was worthless without him, that no one else would want her, that she'd made the biggest mistake of her life, choosing her pathetic parents over him, how he'd listed everything wrong with her, her appearance, her personality, her family, her career, destroyed her piece by piece. But he said he loved me, Sarah sobbed. He said we were soulmates. He said... He lied, Sarah, I said gently. Everything he said was designed to control you, to make you dependent on him, to isolate you from everyone who actually loves you. But why? Why would he do that? Because that's what abusers do. They love bomb you at first, make you feel special. Then slowly they tear you down, make you doubt yourself, make you think you need them, until you're so broken down that you'll accept anything, even being told to uninvite your own parents from your wedding. Sarah was quiet, processing. Then, I did that. I uninvited you. After everything you've done for me, everything you've sacrificed, I told you that you weren't invited to my own wedding that you paid for. Yes, Robert said. You did. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did it. Jason said it would be empowering, that it would show you I was independent, that it would... It doesn't matter what Jason said. You made the choice. You said the words, and we responded. And now here we are. Are you ever going to forgive me? We were quiet, both of us thinking. Sarah, forgiveness isn't automatic, I said finally. It's earned through changed behavior, through time, through proving you understand what you did wrong and why. I understand now. I see what Jason was doing. I see how he manipulated me. I see how I hurt you. That's a start, but understanding isn't the same as healing. You hurt us deeply, and that's going to take time to recover from. I'll do anything, please. Just tell me what to do. That's when we had the conversation about therapy, about ending things with Jason completely, about rebuilding trust slowly and carefully. And Sarah agreed to all of it, because she'd hit rock bottom, because Jason had shown her his true colors, because she finally saw what we'd been trying to tell her all along. The next few weeks were hard. Sarah ended things with Jason officially. He didn't take it well. He showed up at her apartment, pounded on the door, screamed, "You're making a huge mistake. You'll never find anyone like me. You're going to end up alone and pathetic, just like your parents." Sarah called the police, got a restraining order. Jason violated it twice, got arrested, finally left her alone. But the damage was done. Sarah was devastated, broken, questioning everything. She started therapy with Dr. Chen, a specialist in relationship abuse and family dynamics. In their first session, Dr. Chen asked Sarah to describe her relationship with Jason. He was amazing at first, so charming, so attentive. He made me feel special, like I was the only woman in the world. And when did that change? Gradually. So gradually I didn't notice. First it was just little comments. Are you sure you want to wear that? Maybe you should hit the gym more. Nothing overtly cruel, but constant, always implying I wasn't quite good enough. And your parents? When did he start targeting them? Maybe 6 months in. He'd make comments about how they were small-minded or limited, how they didn't understand success, how they were holding me back. At first, I defended them, but he'd say things like, if you want to grow, you need to surround yourself with people who are where you want to be, not where you've been. And that made sense to me, so I started pulling away. Did your parents try to maintain contact? Yes, they kept calling, inviting me to things, but Jason would get upset, say I was choosing them over him, say real partners prioritize each other. So I'd cancel, make excuses. Eventually, they stopped asking as much. That's a classic isolation tactic. Abusers systematically cut off their victims' support system, make them dependent. Then they have all the power. Sarah started crying. He did that, didn't he? He isolated me, made me think my parents were the problem, made me believe his version of reality. And I fell for it. God, how did I not see it? Because you loved him. And abusers are very good at what they do. They find vulnerabilities and exploit them. They make you doubt your instincts. They make you think you're the problem. None of this is your fault, Sarah. But I hurt my parents. I told them they weren't invited to my wedding. I chose Jason over them. That's my fault. You were manipulated. That doesn't excuse what you did, but it does explain it. And now you have the chance to make amends, to rebuild, to learn from this so it never happens again. Over the next few months, Sarah worked with Dr. Chen, unpacked the relationship, understood the patterns, learned to recognize red flags, learned to trust her instincts again. She also started rebuilding her relationship with us. Slowly. Coffee once a week, phone calls, honest conversations about what had happened and why. I'm scared, she told me one day. Scared I'll fall into the same pattern. Scared I'll meet someone else who seems great, and I won't see the signs until it's too late. That's why you're doing this work now. Learning, growing, understanding what healthy relationships look like versus manipulative ones. What if I'm not strong enough? What if I mess up again? Then you learn from it. Sarah, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone gets fooled sometimes. The question isn't whether you'll ever make another mistake. It's whether you'll recognize it faster next time, whether you'll trust your instincts, whether you'll listen to the people who love you. I didn't listen to you about Jason. You tried to warn me. You weren't ready to hear it, and that's okay. You hear it now. That's what matters. 6 months after the canceled wedding, Sarah had made significant progress. She was in therapy, regularly. She'd cut off all contact with Jason. She'd rebuilt relationships with friends she'd neglected during her relationship with him. And she was working on rebuilding with us. It wasn't perfect. There were still moments of tension, still wounds that hadn't fully healed. But we were talking, honestly, without Jason's poison between us. She insisted on paying us back for the wedding, set up a payment plan, $200 a month. It'll take me years, she said, but I need to do this. I need to make it right. We accepted, not because we needed the money, but because she needed to do it, needed to feel like she was making amends in a tangible way. 1 year after the canceled wedding, Sarah was doing much better. She'd been promoted at work, had reconnected with old friends, was focused on herself and her healing. She wasn't dating. I'm not ready, she told Dr. Chen. I don't trust my judgment yet, and I don't want to drag anyone else into my mess while I'm still figuring myself out. That's very mature, Dr. Chen said. Self-awareness is crucial. You're doing the work. When you're ready, you'll know. About 14 months after the canceled wedding, Sarah met David at a volunteer event. She was helping at a community food bank. He was there with his third grade class. He was so good with the kids, Sarah told me later. Patient, kind, making it fun for them, making them feel like they were making a real difference. And when he talked to me, he was normal. No pretense, no trying to impress. Just genuinely nice. They became friends first, worked together on several volunteer events, got coffee, talked about life, work, interests, built a foundation of friendship before anything romantic. I'm being really careful, Sarah told me, watching for red flags, paying attention to how he treats other people, whether his words match his actions. Dr. Chen gave me a list of things to watch for, signs of healthy versus unhealthy relationships. And what are you seeing? Good things. He's respectful. He listens. He doesn't try to control my time or decisions. He has his own friends and hobbies. He encourages me to maintain my relationships with you and my friends. He's nothing like Jason. They dated for 2 years before getting engaged. Slow, careful, intentional. When David asked Robert's permission to marry Sarah, the conversation was honest. Mr. Morrison, I want to marry your daughter, but I need you to know I understand what happened with Jason. Sarah's told me everything, and I want you to know that I would never, ever try to come between Sarah and her family. I value family. I want to add to Sarah's support system, not replace it. Robert studied him. What if Sarah and I have a disagreement? What would you do? Support Sarah in working it out with you. Not take sides, not fuel conflict. Just encourage healthy communication. What if your family doesn't like us? Then that's their problem, not ours. Sarah's family is part of our life together, non-negotiable. Robert smiled. Then yes, you have my blessing. When they got engaged, Sarah was careful about wedding planning. I want to do this right this time, small, intimate, nothing fancy, and David and I are paying for it ourselves. No help from anyone. This is our wedding, our choice, our responsibility. The wedding was beautiful in its simplicity. 40 people, backyard ceremony, potluck reception, string lights, and wildflowers. Nothing like the elaborate disaster that had almost been. But it was perfect, because it was real, authentic, filled with people who actually loved Sarah and David, not people trying to impress or be impressed. During the ceremony, Sarah's vows were personal and powerful. David, I promise to never let anyone come between us and the people who love us, to never confuse control with love or isolation with independence, to always choose truth over comfort, to communicate honestly even when it's hard, and to build a life with you based on genuine connection, not appearances or expectations. I cried. Robert cried. Happy tears, proud tears, healing tears. After the ceremony, Sarah pulled us aside. Thank you, she said, for not giving up on me, for loving me even when I was terrible to you, for seeing what I couldn't see, for having the courage to let me fall so I could learn to stand on my own, for being the parents I needed even when I didn't deserve it. You always deserved it, I said, even when you didn't believe it, even when Jason convinced you otherwise. You always deserved love, real love, not the manipulative version he sold you. I know that now, and I'll spend the rest of my life making sure I never forget it. We hugged. The three of us. A real hug, full of love and forgiveness and hope for the future. Now it's 3 years later. Sarah and David are thriving. They bought a house. She's still in therapy, but less frequently. Once a month for maintenance instead of weekly for crisis. She's pregnant with their first child, our first grandchild, due in 3 months. She's also paid back $30,000 of the money we spent on the canceled wedding. Refuses to stop, even though we've told her multiple times it's not necessary. It's necessary for me, she insists. Every payment is a reminder of what I did, what I learned, what I won't do again. It keeps me accountable. Sometimes people ask us, do you regret canceling the wedding? The answer is always the same: no, never. Because canceling that wedding saved our daughter. If we'd accepted being uninvited, if we'd just walked away and let her marry Jason, where would she be now? Isolated, controlled, possibly in serious physical danger. Jason showed his true colors when things didn't go his way. He became violent, threatening. The restraining order wasn't just for show, it was necessary for Sarah's safety. And if she'd married him, if we'd funded that wedding, she would have been trapped, legally, financially, emotionally. It would have been so much harder to leave. Instead, the wedding collapse forced everything into the light, forced Jason to reveal who he really was, forced Sarah to see the truth she'd been denying. Was it painful? Absolutely. The most painful thing we'd ever done as parents. Were there moments we doubted ourselves? Every single day for months. Did we worry we'd destroyed our relationship with our daughter forever? Constantly. But we made the right choice. We know that now. We see the proof in Sarah's healing, in her happiness, in her healthy marriage, in her pregnancy glow as she talks about the family she and David are building. She's herself again. The daughter we raised, kind, strong, independent in a healthy way, not isolated, not controlled, just genuinely her own person making her own choices from a place of strength instead of manipulation. And that's worth $47,000. Worth the risk, worth the pain, worth everything. Sometimes the most loving thing a parent can do is let their child fall, is refuse to enable destructive choices, is set boundaries even when it hurts. We let Sarah fall, hard, and she stood back up stronger. That's not just parenting, that's love. Real, difficult, painful love that chooses someone's long-term well-being over short-term peace. 3 years ago, our daughter told us we weren't invited to her wedding. We made 3 phone calls. 32 missed calls later, everything changed. Today, our daughter is happy, healthy, whole, and we're about to become grandparents. Not because we were perfect, not because we always knew what to do, but because we loved her enough to let her hit bottom, to let her see the truth, to be there when she was ready to climb back up. That's all any parent can do. Love fiercely, set boundaries, stay strong, and hope it's enough. In our case, it was, and that makes every painful moment worth it. But there's more to this story, more details, more moments that shaped what happened and why. Let me tell you about the wedding planning, those 8 months leading up to that day at Riverside Gardens, because the uninvite didn't happen in a vacuum. It was the culmination of months of Jason systematically destroying Sarah's relationship with us. Month 1 of wedding planning. We were excited, naive. We thought planning a wedding would be a bonding experience. Mother-daughter dress shopping, cake tasting, all the traditional moments. Sarah invited us to the first venue tour, Riverside Gardens. It was beautiful but expensive. $25,000 just for the venue. Sarah, that's a lot of money, Robert said gently. Are you sure? There are other beautiful places that cost less. Before Sarah could answer, Jason jumped in. Mr. Morrison, with all due respect, this is Sarah's day. She deserves the best. I'd think her parents would want that for her. The implication was clear. If we loved her, we'd pay whatever she wanted. If we questioned the cost, we didn't really care about her happiness. Sarah looked uncomfortable. Dad, it's okay. We can look at other places. No, Jason said firmly. You love this place. Don't let budget concerns stop you from having the wedding you deserve. We ended up booking Riverside Gardens, $25,000, half our retirement savings, month 2, dress shopping. Sarah wanted us there. Jason came too, uninvited, unwanted, but there nonetheless. Sarah tried on dozens of dresses. She loved a simple, elegant gown, classic, timeless, beautiful. That's the one, I said. You look stunning, sweetheart. Jason frowned. It's a bit plain, don't you think? For a woman of Sarah's caliber, I'd expect something more impressive. Sarah's face fell. You don't like it? I think you can do better. You're beautiful. You deserve a dress that shows that. The simple dress cost $3,000. The one Jason approved of cost $7,000. Guess which one Sarah bought? Month 3, catering. The tasting was supposed to be fun, trying different foods, picking favorites. Jason criticized everything. This chicken is dry. This pasta is mushy. Is this really the best they can do for the price? The caterer, a kind woman named Rosa, tried to accommodate. We can adjust seasonings, try different cooking methods. What flavors do you prefer? I prefer quality, Jason said dismissively. Maybe we should look elsewhere. Sarah panicked. No, I love this caterer. We can work with them, right, Jason? He sighed. If you insist. But I'm not compromising on quality for my wedding. My wedding, not our wedding. My wedding. The catering ended up costing $12,000, double what we'd budgeted, because Jason kept adding, upgrading, demanding. Month 4 was when we first tried to talk to Sarah about Jason, about our concerns, about how he was treating her. Sweetheart, I've noticed Jason can be a bit controlling about the wedding, about your choices. Sarah got defensive immediately. He's not controlling. He just has opinions. He wants our wedding to be perfect. It's your wedding, too. Do you feel like you're getting the wedding you want or the wedding he wants? It's the same thing. We want the same things. But Sarah, the dress, you loved that first one. And Jason, Mom, stop. Jason knows about fashion, about quality. He's helping me make good choices. Are they your choices, though? She stood up. I'm leaving. I can't deal with this right now. You're supposed to be supporting me, not criticizing my fiancé. She left. Didn't speak to us for 2 weeks. Month 5. Jason started making comments about us directly, in front of Sarah, testing boundaries, seeing what he could get away with. You know, Mr. Morrison, you really should update your wardrobe. That suit is very outdated. You don't want to embarrass Sarah at her wedding. Robert's jaw tightened. I'll keep that in mind. And, Mrs. Morrison, maybe consider a new hairstyle? Something more modern. Sarah's friends are very fashionable. First impressions matter. I felt tears prick my eyes. Thank you for the suggestion. Sarah said nothing. Didn't defend us. Didn't tell Jason to stop. Just looked uncomfortable and changed the subject. Month 6. We barely saw Sarah anymore. She was always too busy with wedding planning, or work, or Jason's family events. When we did see her, she seemed different, quieter, more anxious, always checking her phone, always worried she was doing something wrong. Are you okay, sweetheart? I asked during one brief lunch. I'm fine, Mom, just stressed. Wedding planning is hard. It doesn't have to be this hard. You seem unhappy. I'm not unhappy. Why would you say that? Jason and I are great. The wedding is going to be amazing. Everything's fine. But her voice was shrill, defensive, not convincing. Month 7. Jason started openly discussing how we didn't fit with his family. My parents are used to a certain lifestyle. He told Sarah while we were at dinner, your parents are nice, but very different. I worry about them mixing at the wedding. Sarah looked horrified. Jason, My parents are right here. I know, I'm just being honest. Honesty is important in relationships, right? We need to be realistic about family dynamics. What are you suggesting? Robert asked, voice dangerously quiet. Just that maybe we should seat your family separately. Keep the social circles distinct. Make everyone more comfortable. You want to segregate us at our daughter's wedding, the wedding we're paying for. I'm thinking about everyone's comfort, Mr. Morrison. Robert stood up. We're leaving. Sarah, call us when you're ready to have a real conversation about what's happening here. We left. Sarah called 2 days later, crying, apologizing, blaming stress, making excuses. Jason didn't mean it like that. He's just nervous. He wants everything perfect. Please don't be mad. We're not mad, sweetheart. We're concerned about you, about how Jason treats you, about... Don't start, please. I can't handle this right now. Just, please, can you just support me? That's all I'm asking. Month 8, the final month before the wedding. Everything was planned. Paid for, locked in. We saw Sarah 3 times that month. Brief visits, tense conversations, always with Jason hovering, always with Sarah on edge. The week before the wedding, Jason's true plan became clear. He called Robert. Mr. Morrison, we need to talk about the wedding. What about it? Sarah and I have been discussing her family situation. She feels your presence might create unnecessary tension with my family, with the tone we're trying to set. What exactly are you saying? That maybe it would be better if you weren't at the wedding. You've paid, you've contributed, but your attendance might complicate things. Robert's voice went ice cold. Let me be very clear, Jason. We will be at our daughter's wedding, the wedding we paid $47,000 for. If you have a problem with that, you can discuss it with Sarah, not me. Jason's voice hardened. I'm trying to be diplomatic here, but if you insist on being difficult, there will be consequences. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Sarah's loyalty is to me now, not you. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be. Robert hung up, told me about the conversation. We called Sarah immediately. Did you know Jason called your father? Suggested we not attend your wedding? What? No, that's not... He wouldn't... We never discussed that. Sarah, he called. We have the recording. He said our presence would complicate things. That your loyalty is to him now, not us. Sarah was quiet. Too quiet. Sarah. He might have mentioned something about keeping things simple, not wanting drama, but I never said... But you didn't shut it down either, did you? Mom, you don't understand. Jason's family is very particular. They have expectations. If you guys come and you're not... If you don't fit their... If we're not what? Rich enough? Sophisticated enough? Good enough for Jason's precious family? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? She hung up, didn't call back. 2 days before the wedding, we seriously considered not going, just cutting our losses, walking away. Maybe we should just let her go, I said to Robert. Let her marry him. Let her figure it out on her own. And leave her trapped with him? No, we're going. We're showing up. We're being present. And if she turns us away, we'll deal with it then. But we're not giving up without trying. So we went, drove 4 hours, got ready, showed up at 2 p.m., and the rest you know. But what you don't know is what happened at the venue after we left. Because Sarah told us later, during her therapy, during her healing. When we drove away, the venue manager, Michelle, was already getting calls. The bank, the caterer, all reporting stopped payments. Michelle found Sarah inside, taking pre-ceremony photos. Miss Morrison, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Your father stopped payment on the venue. We just got notification from our bank. The check bounced. We can't hold the ceremony without payment. Sarah's face went white. What? That's impossible. He wouldn't... He did. I'm sorry, but without payment, We can't provide service. The ceremony can't happen here. But there are 100 people coming. The ceremony starts in 20 minutes. I understand, and I'm very sorry, but our contract is clear. No payment, no service. Sarah pulled out her phone, called us. No answer. Called again. 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 Meanwhile, Rosa the caterer arrived. I'm sorry, Miss Morrison. I've been informed that payment was stopped. We can't serve the food. We're packing up. The florist. Taking back the flowers. No payment received. The DJ. Packing up my equipment. Can't work without payment. The photographer. I'm leaving. This is above my pay grade. Within 30 minutes, the entire wedding infrastructure collapsed. Guests started arriving to chaos. No ceremony setup, no flowers, staff removing equipment. Sarah in her wedding dress, crying, trying to explain something she didn't understand herself. Jason's parents arrived, saw the chaos. What is going on? Sarah sobbing, my parents canceled everything, stopped all the payments, everything's ruined. Jason's mother, Patricia. They did what? After committing to this? That's unconscionable. Jason's father, Richard. We are not paying for this. This is your family's disaster. Deal with it. Jason stood there, frozen, watching his perfect wedding dissolve. Then he turned on Sarah. In front of everyone, this is your fault. What? Your parents, your family drama, your inability to manage them. I told you to handle this. I told you to set boundaries. But you're too weak, too pathetic. And now look. Sarah stared at him. Jason, they're my parents. I told them they weren't invited, like you said. You obviously didn't make it clear enough. Obviously, they felt entitled to ruin our day out of spite. This is what happens when you come from a dysfunctional family. This is what I have to deal with. Guests were watching, whispering, recording on phones. Patricia pulled Jason aside. We're leaving. This is too embarrassing. Handle this yourself. And Jason's family left. Just walked away. Left Sarah standing there in her wedding dress, surrounded by dismantled decorations and confused guests. That's when Sarah called us 32 times. Each call more desperate than the last. That's when Jason showed his true colors, became verbally abusive, cruel, vicious. That's when Sarah finally saw what we'd been trying to tell her for 2 years. Later, during therapy, Dr. Chen asked Sarah to describe that moment. It was like waking up from a nightmare. Suddenly, I could see clearly. See how Jason had been manipulating me, isolating me, convincing me my parents were the problem when really he was. He'd planned the whole thing, the uninvite, probably hoping they'd just accept it, or hoping it would push them away permanently. And when they fought back, when they refused to fund their own humiliation, Jason's mask slipped, and I saw the monster underneath. How did that feel? Terrifying. Because I'd almost married him. I'd chosen him over my parents, over everyone who actually loved me, and he didn't love me. He loved controlling me. What happened after your parents drove away? I stood there for like an hour in my wedding dress, while everything got packed up, while guests left, while Jason screamed at me. Then I went home alone. Jason wouldn't even drive me, said I could figure it out like a grown-up. And then I called my parents 32 times. They didn't answer, and I deserved that. I'd hurt them so badly. Why would they answer? The therapy sessions over the next year were intense. Sarah unpacking not just her relationship with Jason, but her relationship with herself. Why she'd been vulnerable to his manipulation. Why she'd been willing to sacrifice her family for him. I think I was insecure, she admitted in one session. Jason was handsome, successful, confident, and he chose me, made me feel special. I thought if I lost him, I'd never find anyone like him again. And now I realize I don't want anyone like him. I want someone who builds me up instead of tearing me down. Someone who adds to my life instead of controlling it. Someone who values my family instead of isolating me from them. It took her a year to get there. A full year of therapy, of healing, of learning to trust herself again. During that year, Robert and I were healing too, going to our own therapy, processing the trauma of almost losing our daughter. Our therapist asked us, "Do you regret how you handled it?" "No," Robert said firmly. "We did what we had to do." Sarah was in an abusive relationship. She was about to legally bind herself to her abuser. We stopped that. We'd do it again. Even knowing how much it hurt? Especially knowing how much it hurt, because short-term pain prevented long-term devastation. The community reaction was mixed. Some people thought we were heroes. Others thought we were cruel. At church, Mrs. Patterson cornered me. "I heard what you did to Sarah, canceling her wedding. That poor girl. That poor girl uninvited her parents from the wedding they paid for. We responded appropriately. But it was her wedding day. You embarrassed her." "She embarrassed herself. We just refused to fund it." Others were more supportive. Our friend Tom pulled Robert aside. "I heard what happened. Good for you. Sarah needed that wake-up call. That Jason kid was bad news." "You saw it too?" "Everyone saw it except Sarah. Sometimes kids need to fall to learn. You let her fall in a controlled way before Jason could do real damage." When Sarah and David got engaged 2 years later, the community response was completely different. At their engagement party, Mrs. Patterson approached Sarah. "I'm so happy for you, dear. David seems wonderful. Nothing like that Jason boy." Sarah smiled. "He's completely different, better in every way." "Your parents must be thrilled." "They are. They love David, and David loves them. It's how it should have been all along." The pregnancy announcement was special. Sarah and David invited us over for Sunday dinner, 3 years after the canceled wedding. "We have news," Sarah said, smiling nervously. "You're pregnant," I guessed immediately. Sarah laughed. "How did you know?" "Mother's intuition, and you've been glowing lately." We celebrated, cried happy tears, talked about nursery designs and baby names, and all the excited grandparent things. "I want you both very involved," Sarah said. "This baby is going to know their grandparents, going to grow up surrounded by family. Real family. Not the fake, manipulative version Jason tried to create." "We'd love that," Robert said, "more than anything. And when the baby's older, I'm going to tell them the story about how their grandparents saved their mother, how they loved her enough to let her fall, how they taught her what real love looks like." Now, 3 years after that wedding day, we're about to meet our grandchild. Sarah's due in 6 weeks. She's healthy, happy, thriving, married to a man who genuinely loves her, building a life based on honesty and respect. And we're part of that life, not because we demanded it, but because we earned it, by loving her enough to say no, by refusing to enable her destruction, by being the parents she needed even when she didn't want us. Sometimes I think about that day at Riverside Gardens, about standing at the entrance hearing Sarah say, "You're not invited." And I think about Robert making those 3 phone calls, canceling everything, watching $47,000 disappear in 20 minutes. And I think about the 32 missed calls, the week of silence, the fear that we'd lost her forever. And I know we made the right choice, because our daughter is safe now, whole now, herself now, and she's about to make us grandparents. That's worth every penny, every tear, every sleepless night. That's worth everything.